Shalom, everybody. Robert Steeman here. We are continuing with our study in Psalms 23, and this time we are in verse 4. So we're going to read verses 1 through 4 fluidly. Again, just like we did last time, I think it's really good that we get this in the sequence, in the flow, because again, remember, it did not have chapter titles nor verse markings. So we're going to read it today out of the complete Jewish Bible, and it's actually going to bring out some things that I've mentioned already that I just noticed today. All right, so here we go. Adonai, or Yehovah, is my shepherd, my companion. I lack nothing. He has me lie down in grassy pastures. He leads me by quiet water. He restores my inner person. He guides me in right paths for the sake of his own name, in the response of his name that he finds in us. Remember, I brought that out. Even if I pass through the death-dark ravines, I will fear no disaster, for you are with me. Your rod and staff assure me. So the first thing that seems to be really clear to me is we have this verse 1 through 3 that focuses so much on that relationship, on that connectivity that we can have with Yeshua, the companion, the shepherd, right? He leads me besides quiet water. He restores my inner person. He makes me lie down in grassy pasture. And notice that we go from that place down. Even though I pass through the death-dark ravines, or in other translations, through the valleys of the shadow of death, right? So we're going from this elevated place, from this place of great intimacy with the Most High, into the death-dark ravines, into the valley of the shadow of death. Now notice a very important connection between the two. We find that in verse 3, which we discussed last week. He guides me in right paths for the sake of his name. Paths are something you walk on, okay? So we have elevation down to de-elevation, and there's a path. There has to be a path because you got to walk somewhere. So that path is walking from up to down. Would that be an example of a righteous path that he desires us to walk in? Have you ever seen that before? I notice it's for the sake of his own name. So when he sees his name being found in you, being found in me, when he sees something that he desires to honor, he says, yes, Robert's doing this. Yes, Robert's doing that. Yes, this person's doing this. Oh, I see that. I see that. I see my name. So I'm going to lead you down this path of righteousness for the sake of my name. And where does this path lead us? Into the valley of the shadow of death. Now, the valley of the shadow of death has some cool Hebrew stuff that I want to bring out, okay? So the shadow of death is the combination of two words. It could be pronounced as salmavet. Salmavet. The first word is sel, which comes from salal, and it means to be or to grow dark. Now, if you go a little bit deeper into the etymological dictionary of the Hebrew language, we see this to mean to sink or to plunge. What are we doing? High elevation, sinking and plunging down to a valley. To settle. It also means to be clear or too clear, to clarify. And then also to tingle or to quiver. And then the other part of the word is mavet, which I've checked so many sources and it literally means die or death. So that's really simple. So we have this valley of the shadow of death. We have this place, this existence, this culture, if you will, of this sinking, plunging, this clarifying, that there's this tingling or quivering. I've actually experienced this. So just a quick testimony. I was sitting with a group of believers, and we were actually on different pages as far as doctrine is concerned, but we were still chatting it up. And there's this one fellow who was bringing forth his doctrine on Yeshua being an angel and not Yehovah, like not one with him in the sense of being God, just being a messenger of God, being a prophet, all of those things, but not actually being God. You guys, my discernment was like crazy, and I experienced this the best way I could put it, this spiritual tingling, this spiritual quivering that manifested in my physical person. I had to walk away and intercede and pray for that guy, because I was like, whoa. Like, it just proved to me that, okay, this guy is, well, right now, hindsight looking back, this guy is experiencing what it's like to live in the culture, right? We are to be in the world, not of the world. So to live of that culture of quivering, of tingling, of this sinking and plunge kind of mentality. I won't name his name because I want to honor this person, but it was crazy. Okay, so we're in this situation of even though I passed through the death dark ravine, so there is this passing through. There is an in, there is a coming in and a going out. It is a path that leads out, but we have to go in there, right? Because he sees his name, and he's going to respond to his name and lead us through, because we have him, and we have him. And we'll see as we keep going, and as the context develops, we'll see what our purpose is through there, okay? I will fear no disaster. In other translations, it says, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Hallelujah. Okay, so I will fear. This word is very important, okay? If we go into Proverbs chapter 1, verse 7, we see the fear of Yehovah is the beginning of knowledge. And then in Proverbs 9:10, we see the fear of Yehovah is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. So I love that verse because it connects the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding. If you go to Proverbs 24, 3-4, we see those three working as well in reference to the building of a house, like a physical structure. And obviously the physical speaks to the spiritual. So go check that out on your own time. That's awesome. And then if you compare it to this, it's like, whoa, this is amazing. Okay, so what I would like to exemplify is the connection of fear here to shepherd, as we see Yahweh is my shepherd, I lack nothing, okay? So the actual word of shepherd, as we talked about, is Roy, Resh, Ayin, and Yud. Resh is the picture of the head, okay? Head, right? Signifies most high or highest. The Ayin is the picture of the eye, and practically speaking, because the Hebrew language is a language that communicates things that we readily see in the natural, that we can experience with our senses, okay? It means to see, or means to perceive, right? Because the point of seeing is to perceive the image in which we are seeing, okay? And then Yud is the outstretched arm, right? And you outstretch your arm to throw, you outstretch your arm to swing a hammer, you work, you deed, you create, right? So that's the idea. So we put all of these together. The shepherd is the Most High that's visibly seeing, working, or creating a deed, right? And we see that within his relationship with the sheep, okay? Shepherd and sheep. He is the leader, the one who is the Most High over the collection of sheep, and the sheep are able to see him, and the sheep are able to see him use his arms to guide, direct, staff, rod, all these different things, and keep them in line, okay? Shepherd. And then we have fear, okay? It is the Yud, Resh, Aleph, okay? Yud again, to do a deed, outstretched arm. The Resh is the picture of the head, Most High. And then Aleph is the picture of the ox head. And that has to do, if you look at an ox in that cultural context, an ox is, the yoke is placed upon him, and there's this plowing tool, and he is pushing, he is going forth in strength and in might, making sure that the field is plowed. The field is not only prepared for the seed, but also it is used in harvest time as well. So if we put those together, fear is this response we have when we see the heart of the Most High being exemplified through his outstretched arm in mighty strength. So where do we see an example of this? Because this is a lot of words, and some of you, I know you're not familiar with the pictographic understanding of the Hebrew language. Where do we see him doing these things? How about the Exodus? How about the great and amazing Exodus, where he performed all of these great plagues against the people who he was who did not honor him, who did not respect him as the only Elohim, as the only mighty one, right? He did the plagues. And then when he was leading his people out, he split the waters. All Moses had to do was lift the staff. That's it. Here you go. And he splits waters. This great path that was created in the midst of waters, creating walls on both sides. The Israelites were able to march through on dry land. And then the Egyptians, right? We see them pursuing the Israelites. And what happened? Woof. That's the idea of fear. If you and I were to see that, would not the proper response be to fall on our face in honor and in reverence and in worship? If we were to see that with our naked eye, I would be on my face. I would believe. Okay? So that's the idea of fear. So in this context, again, I'm going to read it again. I will fear no evil. Ra, resh, ayin. Okay? And remember, shepherd, which I just got done explaining, is roy, resh, ayin, yud. So it's almost like what's being communicated. I will not allow fear to shepherd me. I will not allow fear to be my good shepherd. I will not allow fear to be my companion, as we saw in verse 1. Okay? So that's what I really wanted to get across to you. That the fear, the proper fear, the fear that is the beginning of knowledge. It's the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. That fear is appropriated to the true good shepherd, Yeshua HaMashiach. Okay? And the reason why we will fear no evil is because he is with me. And I wanted to just bring out some cool stuff. You are with me. So the you are is ata. It's literally the et and the he. So if you're familiar with the et within the Hebrew language, it is the aleph tav. And the Greek, we see this as the alpha and omega. So Yeshua in Revelation declaring, and Yahweh declaring, I am the alpha and omega, the beginning and the end, the completeness of everything, the beginning and the end, right? That is him. Okay, so we see this. You are with me. The psalmist is declaring the aleph tav is revealed. You are with me. You are clear to me. I can estimate and value you. I can stand in position with you. You are with me. That is all I have today, you guys. And we're going to be covering the last part of verse 4 in the next video. So I broke it up because there's a lot of content here that I wanted to get to. So shalom, bless you. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I hope this was encouraging. Please give me feedback. Like I would love to hear where your heart is. I would love to hear how this is encouraging you, how this might be challenging to you, how this might be, even if it's confusing, because there's a lot of Hebrew in here, okay? I love the Hebrew and I love communicating it because I think it's so amazing. And if there are some questions you have, please don't feel timid, or don't feel afraid to ask me those questions. Okay, until next time, see ya.